Alright, I know this one is like the most talked about aspects of video games. He's such an influential guy, but just bear with me for a couple minutes in the sake of a school project, alright? Thanks. Gunpei Yokoi, one of the most influential figures in the entire history of video games. Don't know who he is? Well, you can thank this man for the invention of the Game & Watch, the Game Boy, Donkey Kong, the Wii if you think hard enough about it, success of the NES. Basically anything Nintendo was thanks to this man, at least video game-wise. Even the Virtual Boy. Now, I could absolutely not find any information about Gunpei Yokoi before Nintendo, so we'll just start there. The time Gunpei was hired to work at Nintendo was actually a huge struggle period for the company. The playing card industry had finally fallen on them, and they couldn't find footing in any other markets. They tried everything from food to love hotels, that's a topic for another day, but nothing worked for them. And that's where the topic of this video comes in. Gunpei Yokoi graduated from Doshisha University with a degree in electronics. He was shortly then after hired by Nintendo to take care of the maintenance line. Gunpei was experimenting with creating some cool junk, and CEO at the time, Hiroshi Yamauchi, noticed this and told him to, quote, make something great for them. He did. He really made something great. I mean, like, save the whole company level great. The Ultra Hand, it's just a grabber, but it's a pretty cool one. The success of the Ultra Hand moved Gunpei Yokoi to the assembly line, where he worked with Masayuki Umera, too American for this, to create the beam gun, or basically a beam gun that shoots solar cell targets. Sound familiar? That's because it is, idiot! This was a predecessor to the NES Zapper, or, you know, one of the main selling points of the NES. Nintendo used this in deserted bowling alleys to create their own shooting ranges. Kinda cool. That brings me to the next thing. Lateral thinking of withered technology. This is Gunpei Yokoi's belief that old technology can create new and better devices with the right touch. He used this principle to create the Game & Watch, Nintendo's first successful venture into the console industry. This video is not about the Game & Watch. You all know the story already. He saw a man playing on a calculator and thought, it might be cool if you could play like a game on that thing. But it did lead to another huge innovation in the gaming industry. Gunpei Yokoi made a lot of Game & Watch titles, and for one of them he wanted a small solution to the arcade joystick. So he just casually invented the D-pad. You ever wonder why Nintendo always has the best D-pads? Yeah, it's cause this man gave them the patent to the foundation of controllers back in the day. And kinda now. Companies found their way around it, but nothing will ever beat Gunpei's original concept and patent. Later in his life, Gunpei Yokoi was asked to supervise Shigeru Miyamoto on the development of Donkey Kong. If you've been thinking this guy wasn't important up to this point, he gave Miyamoto the idea to let Mario jump from high heights without dying. It's the reason platformers basically exist. It's also the reason that you can kill turtles from below in Mario Brothers. You know, kinda pointless. Now, obviously, Shigeru Miyamoto deserves most of the credit here, but you gotta admit, Yokoi had a pretty huge influence on it. Anyway, he also made Rob, which was the toy they sold with the NES that kinda sold the whole thing for them when nobody wanted to buy video games. This was during the whole video game crash that I'm not going to get into. After this, things were pretty cool for him for a while until he was approached with the technology to create 3D-ish visuals in goggles. Now, Sega was also approached with this technology but declined it, thinking it would be too expensive, give players a headache, or cause seizures even. Gunpei Yokoi, however, saw value in the valueless technology and began to work on the Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy was originally supposed to have color, I believe, but it was scrapped because it was way too expensive. It ended up releasing before even completing development thanks to Nintendo rushing it out so it could release in this weird window between the SNES and the N64. Safe to say, the Virtual Boy wasn't a huge success with all of this. It was released with only 22 titles ever made for it, and was discontinued only 1 year later. I mean, no wonder. The only launch titles were Mario's Tennis and Space Pinball. Space Pinball's cool, but Space Pinball, Space Pinball. Yokoi resigned from Nintendo in 1996 to start his own company and make his own consoles. What did he expect? Unfortunately, this legend died in 1997 when he stopped to help people in a car wreck and got hit by two oncoming cars then and there. He went to the emergency room and was pronounced dead that night. His innovations will forever live on in Nintendo and the video game industry as a whole. May he rest in peace. Okay, I'm done.